motivation, passion, failures, and success. These are all traits that create the wild and wonderful outdoors. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wild and Wonderful Outdoors. On today's episode, we're going to take a step back from our usual hunting strategies and pretty much calling and calls and what to do with this and when to do that. And what we're going to focus on today is just a little bit about myself. I really don't talk about myself because I'm always trying to help people out. I want to help people. So let's start off with a question that most people might ask. What got you started into hunting and what got you started into doing food plots and stuff like that? And what that is that how it started was that my father sort of brought the idea up to me whenever I was in middle school. I had to do a senior project, and that senior project, I couldn't think of what to do, and I knew I had to get ready for it and for high school because I wanted to get it done in case if it was going to be a big one. So what my dad brought up to me was, why don't you do wildlife conservation? Put up food plots, do feeders, build tree stands for people, take people out, let them experience what you're experiencing, and I took it. I was like, yeah, let's try it. I had no idea what to do. None whatsoever. But I had a teacher that hunted, and we got together, we came out, and I did my first ever turkey hunt, and it was great. I couldn't, it was just the adrenaline rush of hearing them birds gobble, And I've done rifle hunting before. I got my first buck with my dad. So there's a lot of things that I did whenever I was a kid that just sort of I loved it. So I love being outdoors. I love being in the woods. As you can tell right now, this is just a path that goes back to another spot. I'm out scouting right now for my dad for this weekend. But the big thing is that it started it all whenever I was a kid. And I pushed it aside, and I feel like I should have never done that because I love it so much. But then I went into high school, and I became an athlete, high school athlete, played football, I was linebacker, and that's pretty much what all it was football. Because you know how, like every other kid, we can all relate one time or another. If you played sports, you want to be the professional in high school, hey, I'm going to go pro. But it didn't turn out for me, so that's okay. So what I did was I learned as much as I could. I talked to people that have hunted, that might have had success. I read books, and I hate reading. I've hated reading my whole life, but I read books. And just sort of absorbed. I was a sponge and absorbed everything that was in it, everything that I read and learned, and I'm putting it to, you gotta practice what you preach, is what they say, and I practiced it. I put it to work and put food plots out. Knowing the difference between perennial food plots and seasonal food plots. What's gonna die out in the wintertime? That's all part of it. Knowing what can give the best protein source to grow the massive horns that everybody wants. What type of clover, do you want? White clover or purple clover or red clover or whatever type of clover you want. Sugar beets, wheat, barley, rye, all that other crazy stuff. All that comes into that food plot. Knowing what you want to plant, knowing what's around you, going out and seeing, going out and getting part of that land and looking at it and see where the trails are all running, see where the deer are running to, and eventually those turkeys will come too. Because that's all part of it. If the deer are coming there constantly, the turkeys are going to follow. And that's what they do for the last 3 years that I've been doing this hardcore, I've had turkeys follow where deer have been coming in, to the feeders that I've put out. Same with the food plots that I've done, I've had turkeys come in. So it all depends on really knowing what you're doing and stuff like that. And that's what sparked everything for me. Like I said, I was in high school. I went to college during the summer semester, and I didn't want nothing to do with that. All I wanted to do was be home, be in the woods, you know, farming. I'm a farmer. I farmed a lot, and it just seemed like it sort of was the right choice. So I came back home from college, and I got a racehorse. I race horses. I'm an owner, trainer, driver for SS Ranch or Smil Stables. We go to all the fairs in Pennsylvania. So like another question that I can see a lot of people asking is, you know, what brought you back into it, you know? So I got away from it whenever I went to college and, like I said, in high school, and I wasn't really devoted to it. So what I did is, after my horse racing, I did a little bit for that, but then I decided that it was time for me. My parents have protected me for a lot of things, so it was time for me to step up to the plate, and I did. I went and got enlisted into the Air Force. I did my stuff, did my time, got out. I was a C-17 mechanic, did my fair share of stuff for that. I'm not going into detail a whole lot, but and whenever I was down there, I had somebody, when I lived in West Virginia, that's during the military, and I had somebody, I was shooting my bow out back behind my house, and I had somebody come up to me, my neighbor, came up to me and he asked me, "Hey, do you like hunting?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, yeah, man, I love hunting. I just don't got nowhere to do it because everybody's got it posted. I went and asked people and they told me no, and stuff like that. You know, it just sort of was terrible." And he's like, "Well, I got a farm a couple miles up the road that needs some management done." And I'm like, "Okay, I can do this." You know, because I've had experience with that in the past whenever I was in middle school. And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I went out to his place. I brought my dad out with me because my dad knows a little bit. You know, me and him were tight, and he came out with me, and we were walking around. We were looking at the areas, looking at paths, looking at deer paths, seeing what they're traveling, where they all meet, where they all come together. And I'll get all into that stuff later in later videos. But, you know, like starting fresh on a new piece of property, what to do, how to do this, and stuff like that. But I got there, and there was no deer, hardly any deer, but there was paths there, no monster bucks. And there wasn't really a whole lot of other extra wildlife. It was kind of scarce. The deer, the rabbits, you know, the possums, the raccoons, everything was sort of scarce. It was just really bad. And what I did was I started from scratch. I bought a couple bag feeders, threw some corn in there every week. I threw a 50-pound bag of corn in there and threw my trail camera up. And that trail camera was taking pictures of some deer that were coming in. And then there was more, and then there was more, and then there was even more. And then I started getting turkeys in there and raccoons and everything like that. I'm like, perfect. Okay, these things are around here. This is what I need to do. This is what I got to do. You know, this is the next step. And the next step was building wildlife habitats, putting up food plots, putting up more cameras, and figuring out where they're going. Because obviously now they're all coming into the feeder. Now I want to figure out where they're coming from. So I go back the paths. I literally walk back the paths with the cameras and see where they're coming from and going and where they're going and moving and what time. That's all plays into that. And we'll get more into that into another video, but sorry I'm getting off track. But the other thing too is that's what sort of sparked it back into me, and I was so happy whenever I got a chance to move back home after my contract that I did. I got back home and my dad was like, "Hey, let's see if we can do some more wildlife conservation on our own property." So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I came back home. I set up some feeders, built a food plot just recently. I'll do videos about that and how to do stuff like that, like I said. And then spring, obviously now it's beautiful out. It's springtime, so that means spring gobblers in. The first day I went out, I did a lot of homework though. That's the thing. You know, I was successful on my very first day in the first 26 minutes. I'll put the link for the video down below. But you got to do some homework too. And I know it's tough with people that got jobs, and it's tough with family and stuff like that. I brought my kids out with me whenever I went scouting, and he's only 3. And he made a turkey sound. I'll put that video in the link as well, or the link for that video as well in the description. But he was doing it with his mouth, just messing around trying to copy Dad, and they actually gobbled back to him, and it was one of the greatest feelings in the world. You know, I'm getting my kids involved into this. This Saturday, me, my dad, and my kids, we're all gonna go out. And you know, I understand that it can be difficult for people to go out and hunt, and I'm trying to, that's why I created this channel, to try and make people more successful in the field. You know, I don't want to make it always about, oh, you always go out and get this and you always go out and get that. No, that's not how it works in real life. You can go out and have everything planned out the way that you want it, but it doesn't work. I have done that a lot of times. I have made my fair share of mistakes, and I have gained a lot of stuff. But yeah, that's sort of a little background of where I'm at. Like I said, I got the first turkey back home on the homestead in 26 minutes on opening day, which was great. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, that's sort of a little bit about me. I don't want to go into too much detail, but that's how the hunting has started. Yeah, it was all because of my dad, and he brought up wildlife conservation. I'd love to be a wildlife conservation officer, but I don't feel like moving again. But I hope everybody likes these videos. I hope everybody's having a good day. It's May 11th. It's a beautiful day in Pennsylvania to be out in the woods right now. And yeah, I hope to catch you guys on the next video. So I'll see you guys later.